India is making progress in disability inclusion. But what more can be done? In this film, Rajesh Aggarwal, Secretary of the Department of Empowerment of Persons with Disabilities, shares key insights on policies, challenges, and the road ahead. This conversation highlights impactful initiatives and the vision for a more inclusive future for India. Could you share your experience in the disability sector and how your approach to empowering persons with disabilities has evolved over time?
Though I had more than 30 years of service before I joined this department, in field in Maharashtra, in other ministries and Government of India, and we do come across people with disabilities during our daily life and in our official work. But after joining here, one realizes that the situation is actually very different from what we perceive. One, unfortunately, even today, due to multiple factors, we don't see many persons with disabilities in our schools, colleges, shopping malls, offices, bazaars. There are infrastructure issues, there are some stigma still related to disabilities in the country. And on that count, on the mobility, actually we see the situation in West is very different. So when I was a child in school, I had one friend or one other colleague, student, who had polio. So I had, as a student, I did not have any interaction with a visually impaired or hearing impaired child. On that count, now the situation is improving. So the new generation of children who are studying in our schools, and now every school is supposed to be inclusive, and many are actually inclusive. So they will have a different experience on this. But our generation of people more than 40 or more than 50 years old, unless we were actually working in this sector, we were not really exposed to this field. So that is what first hit me, that this sector was actually very new to me. So maybe due to that, so I actually started reaching out to the whole Divyang community and a lot of reputed NGOs, other practitioners, lot of parent groups, lot of achievers in this, and that has shaped my views in last 2 years. And I have deliberately reached out to lot of achievers in the community. Unless we really promote role models, the parents as well as the younger kids who have disabilities, their aspirations will be limited. So I believe that that has been the most significant achievement, that we have been able to reach out to the community, involve them, involve the influencers and the achievers in this, reach out to a lot of parent groups. And one mantra I have tried to follow really is that nothing about us without us. So in all various other meetings also where we actually did not have persons with disabilities earlier, we do call them as special invitees to ensure that whatever decisions we are taking, they really benefit the people. Sometimes as a bureaucrat or as a government, what we feel may not be really what the Divyang community's priorities are. So we have tried to match our list of things with the priorities set by the Divyang community overall. But again, the community is very big. Now we have 21 disabilities. We try to reach out to everyone. COVID changed the way the whole society functions, not only the government. So the government, now almost entire government of India is paperless. We use e-office, and we use VCs, all the ministries, not only us. We use VCs, video conferences day in and day out for our own internal meetings as well as reaching out to people. And also it's important because otherwise physically only Delhi based activists will keep meeting us. So we don't want our ministry to be only Delhi oriented. It has to take care of the entire country. So what VCs and what COVID did was that it made the virtual platforms the norm rather than the exception. And that's true with our ministry also.
Among the 21 recognized disabilities you've engaged with, which do you believe require significantly more attention and support?
See, if I actually name one, the others will say you are being partial. But frankly, personally, I have felt that the deaf community, we obviously now use the word SHI, speech and hearing impaired, but that then combines lot of various sub disabilities. So the children who can't hear 100%, so I think those kids are very, very disadvantaged, because I believe that communication is what really makes us human, and the connection first between the child and the parents. If they can't communicate well, I think the children who are born deaf, and frankly, in 95% cases, the parents are hearing parents. And and actually, deafness also sometimes people don't realize. Parents also realize after many months or sometimes even after years that the child can't hear. And so the communication there is broken. So even if we see the education part, so leave aside the cognitive impairment, this thing, amongst other disabilities, the deaf kids actually, very unfortunately, we don't find deaf kids actually moving beyond 10th really in many, many cases. So we are really focusing on, obviously Indian Sign Language is one, involving parents is another, uh, and really focusing on education part of. Now in fact what is happening is, if you go to any 5-star hotel in the country, across the country, and if you really talk to their management, they will have 5, 10, 20, even 30 people with hearing impairments, because as you said it, they look absolutely fine, and they fit into the whole hotel culture, but then they don't really proceed beyond a point, because their English or Hindi or Bengali skills, are reading and writing skills, they are poor. So we are now focusing on this with the employers also, at how to impart better language training, reading and writing on computer, on mobiles, how to write even better emails. Otherwise, once they are landing jobs, they are staying at only those points. They are not able to move to management cadres unless their skills, language skills are good.
In your 2 years as Secretary of the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which disability community has stood out as the most vibrant with strong self advocates and leaders?
See, two communities, because their numbers are high, and they have managed to reach good positions. One obviously is locomotor. Obviously, they have mobility issues, wheelchair or other stuff, but many of them are actually extremely educated. They are in all good government positions, or even in private sector at many high positions. So they are able to articulate their things very well. So that's why if you see the whole Sugamya Bharat also, first focus has always been mobility, buildings, roads, transport. And second community, which is again very vibrant, is the visually impaired community. Though 100% blind people and even low vision people, obviously the vision issue is there, but otherwise they are extremely sharp. And even in Supreme Court, you will find probably a dozen lawyers who are visually impaired. So, in fact, most of the court cases, if you see on the advocacy part, they have come from visually impaired community, because they have reached high positions in, they have done very well in law sector. And frankly, the whole advent of mobiles and computers, that has made a huge difference in their lives. And for example, on 3rd December, International Disability Day, Andhra Pradesh Magar Shiksha model has got the President's Award. And they got it primarily because right from class 1, they are teaching deaf kids and blind kids use of computers. Right from class 1. So these kids will become programmers, lawyers, whatever they want.
Yes.
And in fact, now I am also pushing very hard for STEM courses for blind and deaf kids especially. Even now, probably more than 90% schools, including government and private schools, if a blind or a deaf kid, I'm using these words for easy understanding, so rather than VI or HI, 90% schools still say कि sorry आप 8वीं के बाद आर्ट में चले जाओ, मैथ्स या साइंस नहीं करना. Only 5 to 10% schools really encourage that. उस पे we are really pushing hard on that if the kid wants, the kid should have a choice to go into science subjects.
Are there plans to update or expand the Rights for Persons with Disabilities Act 2016 to address existing gaps?
The act was only passed in 2016 with a good consensus. So I think that will continue for next few years. Many things we are able to cater to through the set of rules. The rules are sort of dynamic. For example, now Supreme Court also has passed a judgment, and so our guidelines, we are now sort of dividing them into non-negotiable set and on the accessibility part, various kind of accessibilities. So I believe at the moment I don't see any need of changing the act per se, and many things we are able to do through rules, though there is always and there will be demands on adding more and more kind of disabilities. But our stand frankly till now has been that, for example, there is a demand to include diabetes. So, and India is the diabetes capital of the world. But our stand has been that it is primarily health issue, but only when it leads to certain disabilities. For example, very unfortunately, we have large number of diabetic foot amputations in the country. So at that time you get a disability certificate and you can get those benefits. Only if you develop certain disability after any disease. Because even in 2016 when the act was passed, there was quite a vibrant discussion in parliament.
How is the department working to enhance skill development and employability for persons with disabilities in various sectors?
See, one is classically government funded skill courses. In education also we are funding quite a number of special schools, and state governments are actually funding much more than what we are doing as central government, because primarily that's a state subject. In skills, just like Skill India program, a counterpart here has been running, and we found that was primarily catering to locomotor. So now we have reached out to large number of deaf schools and blind schools in the country, and other disability related special schools also. We have enabled them to even run these skill courses, and also we have said that okay, if our skill course is 3 months and you want to do it in 1 year, you can stagger it out over 1 year. So that is one, but now we also have a free coaching scheme where we coach for getting into higher education or getting into government jobs. But actual number of jobs are actually much more in private sector. And then we also want our Divyang kids also to go into entrepreneurship also. So we have schemes like Divya Kala Mela and also where we are promoting entrepreneurship. But then we have tied up with more than 25 job aggregators. Like Sarthak is doing good work in primarily for visual impairment, connecting them to employers. Atypical Advantage, Vineet is connecting a lot of employers. Enable India, Youth for Jobs. So many job aggregators are there in the market. And then bigger companies like Infosys, Amazon, etc., they have directly linked to our portal PM Daksh. So our effort has been that on PM Daksh at any point of time there should be 15-20,000 jobs availability for youth with disabilities. And through this job aggregation and directly companies coming on this platform, so that network has also started yielding results. And also if you have seen that again on this International Disability Day, Zomato also got a Employers Award. Because 2 years back they were frankly the first ones. They worked with NeoMotion, an IIT Madras incubated startup, who have wheelchairs with a scooty type of attachment in front. So they started deploying them as delivery boys or girls. Then other companies like Amazon, Swiggy, Flipkart, they also joined hands. And after this award, Deepinder Goyal, the founder of Zomato, tweeted, he said, we now have 1500 such youth, we'll go very quickly to 5000. So the jobs are coming in various ways.
Are there targeted campaigns to raise awareness in rural and underserved communities, and how are they being implemented?
We have our National Institute, we have our CRCs at state levels, we have about 150 odd national trust funded NGOs working across the country. We have about 400 plus projects of DDRS working across the country. Then we actually mapped in last 3 years where have we held camps. And no surprises, most of the activities do happen in urban areas. Though people in camps come from rural areas also, but the camps get held in urban areas or district headquarters. So we are now very proactively reaching out to unserved and underserved areas. For example, 500 aspirational blocks. We have actually gone to almost 300 aspirational blocks, held assessment camps there, and these are obviously purely rural areas and remote areas. And we will cover all 500 by June this year with at least one assessment camp to fill the unmet demands. Yeah. And many awareness activities now we are trying to do in rural areas also.
Can you share some examples of initiatives you've led to support persons with disabilities?
In Virali Modi case in Mumbai, yeah, when she tweeted ki am I a piece of luggage, when after her marriage she went to sub registrar's office और लहंगे में पूरा उनको फिर फर्स्ट फ्लोर जाना पड़ा. शी हैड रिक्वेस्टेड द सब रजिस्ट्रार कि आप नीचे आके कर लो, लिफ्ट नहीं है, मैं ऐसे कैसे ऊपर आ सकती हूँ. ही सेड नो, यू हैव टू कम अप. So then I passed an order that anywhere in the country, in any government office, if your office is inaccessible, you should go down and serve the Divyang. And now in many parts of the country, Divyang people show that order to the officer concerned and they say, चलो ठीक है मैं नीचे आके दे देता हूँ, क्यों पंगा लेना type. So that has helped. Then a few suo motu cases. For example, one suo motu case was ki, which is actually crazy, that we have a Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan fund with state governments, and we have a combo scheme, SSA ADIP scheme, yes, where school children are given assistive devices. So the school teacher and LMCO guys, even if the child does not have a disability certificate under that scheme, they assess the requirement and give the item without insisting even on disability certificate. तो उसमें क्या हुआ कि we found out कि state education departments were taking the stand कि जो स्कूल स्टेट एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट के अंडर हैं उसी में ये होगा. जो स्पेशल स्कूल्स हैं जो उनका सोशल वेलफेयर चला रहा है और कोई एनजीओ भी चला रही है, उसमें वो स्कीम नहीं लागू थी. तो हमने कहा कि ये गलत है कि स्कूल तो स्कूल है, किसी का भी हो, कोई भी डिपार्टमेंट ओवरसी कर रही हो. तो देन स्कूल एजुकेशन डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया, दे इशूड ए सर्कुलर इमीडिएटली आफ्टर 1 week ऑफ दैट हियरिंग, टेलिंग द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स कि नहीं, आप एसएसए का पैसा दिव्यांग बच्चा कहीं भी हो उसको दो. एंड ऑलरेडी द इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ दैट हैज स्टार्टेड. In many special schools, kids have actually started getting items.
What are the most common issues and complaints you receive? And how are they addressed?
See, one is obviously the grievance system. There are multiple ways. CP ग्राम सिस्टम है गवर्नमेंट का. फिर हमारे वेबसाइट पे कई तरह के फॉर्म्स होते हैं फॉर ग्रीवेंस फॉर डिफरेंट स्कीम्स. देन बहुत सारे केसेस CCPD के पास चले जाते हैं या स्टेट कमिश्नर्स के पास चले जाते हैं. एंड CCPD ऑल्सो, आई थिंक it's been almost 1 year, we opened online forum also. They just have to fill up basically the grievance there and we initiate a case or we try to resolve it. Then there is Sogamya app for reporting accessibility issues. But then we are also proactively reaching out to community in a big way, and we analyze the grievances using AI tools. 15,000 grievances related to UDID received in last 5-6 years, and then summarizing that how we can sort of systematically, so we then see the systematic issues, then try to resolve those policy or procedure issues so that those kind of complaints reduce or become zero.
Could you clarify the confusion surrounding the UDID card and Aadhaar for our friends with disabilities?
So Aadhaar is for everyone, including Divyang persons, and Aadhaar right from 10-12 years, they had good embedded procedures how to do exceptions. If you can't capture someone's eyes, the eye exception is there. Someone does not have fingers, for example in leprosy and other cases, they had exceptions. Even for oral cancer and all, they have facial exception. So the complaints of the young people not having Aadhaar, they are now quite minimal. And wherever those come, we also try to sort of intervene and resolve them. Now UDID started around 2019. Again, actually the hospital's authorization is done by the state governments, that which hospital can do what kind of disability certificates. The only thing is people apply online. The doctors put their diagnosis online, then the disability certificate and the card. So that gets generated, and that is called UDID number. So earlier we were sending only 40% and above वाला जो कार्ड होता है वो स्पीड पोस्ट से हम भेजते थे, दूसरा नॉर्मल पोस्ट से भेजते थे. तो now we have started sending everything by speed post since last year. And we have also enabled a feature कि मुझे कार्ड मिला नहीं या गुम हो गया, तो वो भी it's now automated कि you just say कि मेरा गुम हो गया and you will get a new card. कहीं कहीं था कि दे सेड कि डॉक्टर की डायग्नोसिस शीट भी हमें मिलने लग जाए. तो since 3-4 months, even for older cases now, you can download not only your card and disability certificate, you can download the whole diagnostic sheet of the doctors also. So you can download 3 things. And we are pushing these 2 things, the disability certificate and card, into DigiLocker also. So that you don't lose the things basically. And now we have really shortened the form also, the online form. We have really shortened it. We are not asking for unnecessary statistical information. So we try to simplify things, make it more user friendly. And so we take complaints as individual complaints also, then we look at the real reason so that then in future those kind of complaints don't come.
What are the department's key priorities for the next 5 years in advancing disability awareness and inclusion?
Obviously awareness, inclusion, attitudinal change, that is obviously, that has to happen all across. But otherwise one is education, education, education. I personally believe very strongly that all children, they need to be educated to their potential, not by our own attitudes कि ये बच्चा कुछ नहीं कर सकता है, parents को भी ऐसा, तो we need to change parents attitude, society attitude. And now that's why we are promoting role models in a big way. Now we see totally blind kids actually becoming coders in Microsoft, becoming Supreme Court lawyers, or into vice presidents of banks or anything. So they are not at the only back operations, they are in the front doing a lot of things. We have professors, head of departments in Delhi University, Mumbai University, who are 100% blind. Similarly, for deaf community, as we talked earlier, they have slightly lagged behind in education. Then even now, for example, autism is rising very badly, autism, ADHD. And many of these kids, if tackled well by parents and teachers right from beginning, they can do quite well in life. Again we say everyone is good at something, and you showed me a poem which also says that. So whatever is the potential of the child, we must ensure that child goes there. And then skilling and naukri, entrepreneurship, that comes later. First is education, education, education. And in that also, to the extent we must encourage inclusive education. So before independence also, we had actually 1,000+ schools which were called deaf schools or blind schools, or basically earlier the term mental retardation was used, then we use intellectual disability or other terms for that. I personally believe that even in students studying in those schools, after 2, 3, 4 years, many of them can actually go into inclusive schools. And also a lot of actual data across the globe also shows that children who are into inclusive schooling, they do much better later in life, in their personal life as well as in professional life, because they are exposed to the society as a whole. And second is, now assistive technology can change lives. So in that, obviously it starts from prenatal stuff and postnatal stuff, early diagnostics, and then wherever they need gadgets or now help of any software supported systems also. So assistive technologies are going to change lives. So our budget also now, 1/3 of our budget actually goes into assistive technologies. We keep on adding new elements to it. We are focusing on made in India, and frugal but very high quality stuff. For example, again this 3rd December we launched 2 products. One is again IIT Madras incubated artificial knee joint called Kadam. And it's about, we are machining it at less than $100. and it's comparable to things costing $1,000 otherwise, and absolutely same quality. We are actually doing good quality stuff. And for example, low vision kids, very unfortunately, they get pushed to special schools. Then they are also given braille books to read and a white cane. That is very unfortunate. So some of these kids will actually go blind progressively, but as long as they have low vision, we should expose them to technologies which help them with low vision. So we reach out to CSIO Mohali. It's a part of CSIR labs, and they do glasswork in cockpit of many fighter planes globally. They are that good in optics. So we reached out to them कि लो विजन बच्चों के लिए चश्मा बनाना है, 16 की पावर का, 20 पावर का, 26, 28 पावर का, लो वेट, रोबस्ट कि बच्चा फेंक भी दे टूटे ना. And they have actually, we launched these, and they're absolutely great quality. So the focus is on good quality stuff, preferably Indian stuff. And we are working with a lot of AI based groups also. For example, I reached out to OpenAI team, and they said, okay, we'll work with you on non-standard speech to text. Now we can tell Alexa, ये गाना सुना दो, या Siri ये कर दो. But if a cerebral palsy person is speaking, it's a slurry voice, वो command नहीं समझ में आएगी. So we are working with almost everyone, who's who of the tech world, on these kind of solutions. So education and assistive technologies, that will change lives. And obviously attitude change in society.
Could you share a few concluding thoughts on what we can collectively do to support persons with disabilities?
Nothing about us without us. So we are following that mantra and involving the Divyang community in everything we do. We are increasing our engagement with citizens, parent groups in a big way. Our teams are fanning out to states. Even for example, Purple Fest in Goa held twice. That brought a lot of community and experts together. So I believe the voice of the community, their grievances, aspirations, we are working quite collaboratively with them. But again, this is a thing where societal attitude change is really needed. Let us say there's a family living in an apartment complex in Delhi or Bengaluru or wherever. So how are other neighbors? How are they reacting? If the family with their Divyang child is using the lift, so बाकी लोग नाक मुंह तो नहीं चढ़ाते देख के, कुछ कमेंट तो नहीं मारते. ऐसा तो नहीं कि बच्चा नीचे कॉमन पार्क में गया, बाकी पेरेंट्स कहते नहीं ये बच्चा आ गया, अपने बच्चे को लेके चले जाते हैं, या कहते नहीं इसको मत लाओ. That unfortunately still happens in our society. And so these societal attitudes are slowly changing. जो पहले स्टिग्मा होता था कि वो अब कम होता जा रहा है. Now the younger parents also, I should not be really using these words, but they don't hide their child in the house. They say नहीं बाहर लेके जाना है तो डॉक्टर के पास भी लेके जाना है, स्कूल में भी जाना है, प्लेग्राउंड में भी जाना है, शॉपिंग मॉल में गए तो भी साथ में लेके जाना है. तो जब सब दिव्यांग लोग, बच्चे, यूथ सब बाहर निकलेंगे, तभी एटीट्यूड चेंज होगा, तभी सिस्टम चेंज होंगे, तभी ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम अपने आप चेंज होंगे, अपने आप डिमांड आएगी. बट वी डू अनफॉर्चुनेटली गेट सॉरी स्टोरीज फ्रॉम दिव्यांग कम्युनिटी एंड पेरेंट ग्रुप्स कि अवर नेबर्स आर नॉट रियली behaving well with us, or the system means the whole, whether it's a school or anyone else, or the shopkeeper. But now attitudes have started changing. So one, I would like to request everyone in society that Divyangta is a part of humanity. It's a part of diversity in human beings. And whatever age we are, if we live long enough, we will encounter some temporary and some permanent disabilities in our lives. Unless we conk off very early, then we might escape temporary and permanent disabilities. So every person, every family will have this. That is first thing to understand, take it as a part of diversity. And if the only thing which is needed are two small things. One is equal opportunity, and second we call reasonable accommodations. For example, if you are a school teacher or a school principal, my request is that please give the child a chance, equal opportunity, then reasonable accommodations. We don't say very unreasonable accommodations. So 99% of the children will really benefit from it. Hardly even 0.1% children might be such that they need homeschooling, they can't come to school or mix with other children and so on. So every child has a right to education with some reasonable accommodations, so they must have that. And then participating in everything, whether it is your local playground, please welcome all the children, everyone. If it's a local swimming pool of society or of municipality, the wheelchair should be able to go there, a blind, visually impaired child should also be able to swim and so on. So they have the right to entertainment, sports, everything in life. And obviously, as they grow up, the right to marry, all those opportunities should be there. Whatever other youth do, the same activities, all these kids should be able to do. And after getting education and skilling, they do need mentoring to some extent. So my request is, if you are an entrepreneur or a businessman, or you're an association or whatever, so please do some mentoring, do some hand holding, that will really go a long way. And to all the employers, I always say कि take a leap of faith. Employ 1 or 2 persons with disabilities. And I also very openly say कि काम नहीं करते तो निकाल दो. मैं क्यों कहता हूँ? क्योंकि I am sure, and there is a lot of actually global data to back it up, if you give an opportunity to a person with disabilities, they are very loyal and productive employees. The attrition rate will be 1/3 or 1/4 of attrition rate of your other employees. Because once they go and they feel comfortable, they don't really switch jobs. So actually absolutely hardcore data shows that Divyang employees actually make good productive employees, and a little bit of diversity in the office actually sensitizes everyone else. It makes others also more human and sort of better, more sensitized employees. So take a leap of faith and take 2 people, and then I don't have to talk to you. You automatically will scale that up once you have sort of that experience. So that is what the Divyang community asks for. Just equal opportunities, good dignified life, getting exposed to all activities which other people do, and don't treat them as subhuman, don't treat them as gods, and just treat them as part of humanity. So that's it.